3, 2, 1.
So have you ever heard that story of Paul and Silas? It's from the book of Acts. And basically, Paul and Silas were thrown in prison without a trial. And they were in Philippi, Greece. And they were preaching the gospel as they would do. And that was against the law. So they got tortured, they got whipped, they got thrown in jail, and they're just sitting there in these super unsanitary conditions in that prison, and they're shackled to a log, and their legs are outstretched apart, and they're just in horrible pain. But that didn't deter their faith. And this is what's important about this story. No matter where it came from, it didn't deter their faith. And at midnight, Paul and Silas held this worship service, and they started praying and singing hymns to the divine. No matter what was going on, they were holding on to their faith. And suddenly there was this earthquake, and the prison shook, and their shackles fell off, and the doors opened in the prison, and all the prisoners went out, and eventually the walls fell and destroyed the whole building. So despite their conditions and their suffering, Paul and Silas did not stop trusting the universe and their word. And that's what's important. That's what I want to talk about. Their prayer, both in silence and song, was for all to hear. And it freed both their minds and their bodies from bondage. And every word that they uttered moved not only their consciousness, but every cell in their body. And of course, the universe responded with, in this story, breaking their shackles, breaking down the doors, destroying the building. Through the ethers, these impulses, this treatment of their mind, this energy, this frequency of faith transmitted to spirit, and divine action took over. Now, that may be an extreme example of that working, but that doesn't matter. It's just an illustration of how these supposed miracles can show up in your life. Words repeated and embodied in our consciousness have a definite effect upon substance. And Paul and Silas' story metaphysically illustrates the freeing of their mind from their shackles, just like affirmative incantations, spiritual mind treatment, et cetera, can release us from our mental shackles. There's no limit to the power of our word expressed under the divine law. I know I say this every week in one way or another, but until you get it, until we all get it in every part of our lives, I'm going to keep saying it. Now, the folk song, Keep Your Eyes on the Prize, is based on an old spiritual called Gospel Plow. And Keep Your Eyes on the Prize has rewritten lyrics from Gospel Plow, and it was used as an anthem during the civil rights movement in the 50s and 60s. So if you got to hear that song or have heard that song, and you can find that on the internet, you can see from the lyrics how that was used as a cry to keep moving, to keep forward. Because it speaks of continuing, of moving on, of falling forward, of moving on despite what was going on, despite the struggle, the diversity that was going on in people's lives, the obstacles, including our own obstacles that we put in the way, or the conditions that are showing up in our lives. And we continue moving on, and that's what the song was talking about. Move on, transcend from that oppression that has shown up in your life, for whatever reason it showed up in your life. We don't have to get into that. It's something about the inharmonious perception we have about our lives. Well, we can move through that. We can move beyond that into the magnificence we were born to have. We were born to be. Like the phrase, keep your eyes on the ball, it's a calling, it's a watchword to stay focused. Stay focused on what it is you're going to have. Now, there's a concerted effort afoot to distract all of us from the crucial act of intentional manifestation. And some of that concerted effort comes from ourselves. And we need to take a little responsibility for that, not blame, not to be shamed about it or anything. Just take responsibility so that you can take hold of it and go forward. But we're designed to be more powerful than any concerted effort, including our own. Because trained thought is more powerful than untrained thought. Conscious thinking is more powerful than unconscious or even subconscious thinking. I know that's hard to believe, especially for those of you who understand the concept of unconscious and subconscious thinking, but it's true. People do it all the time by staying focused on what it is they're going to have. Now, I've told this story before. I got a couple stories today, but the first one I've told before, but it fits the topic, so I brought it back. It comes from the Hindu epic, the Mahabharata, huge epic poem. And in the poem, the warrior princess Arjuna and his brothers and cousins, also princes, are being trained in archery by the great teacher Dronacharya, called Drona. So Drona assembles all the young princes together for a lesson, and he places this wooden sparrow on the branch of a tree, and he instructs his students, and they're all holding their bows and arrows, to aim for the sparrow's eyes. But then he says, but before you release your arrow, I want you each to tell me what you see. So the first prince steps forward and responds, well, I see the bird, the branches, the tree. Next kid comes up and he says, I see the sky, the clouds, and the sun. All the princes step up in a row eventually and describe their surroundings, and they do it very vividly. And then Drona asks Arjuna the same question. He responds, blackness. All I see, my teacher, is blackness. And Drona asks him, you do not see the trees, the bark, the leaves, the flowers, the fruits, me, the sun? He says, no, teacher, I see only blackness. What is the blackness? Asks Drona. And Arjuna answers, it is the blackness in the center of the eye of the sparrow. I can see nothing else. And with a smile, Guru Dronacharya gave Arjuna the order to release his bow. And of course, it sped straight to the target, and the bird came tumbling down. When you want to achieve something, you got to focus on it. You got to focus on that achievement. You got to close out all the other distractions, and I know there's a million of them, and concentrate only on your target. Appreciate that target that you want, that which you are focusing on, that which you have decided, declared to have and reveal into your life. And you do it with intentional treatment work, affirmative incantations that we give you every week, spiritual practices of all kinds, goal setting, all that other stuff that are typically non-spiritual. You do all that stuff. Your morning pages, whatever works for you. And then you also do the mental work. You have to make sure you do the mental work, which is seeing it, feeling it, tasting it, smelling it, hearing it, touching it, feeling with your hands, not just your heart. That which you are going to have. Dream about it. Allow yourself to dream about it and take action for it. Concentrate on what you want to reveal. Get a bit of tunnel vision about what you want to reveal. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on, like the song says. And why does that work when you do that? Well, I tell you that every week. I tell you that there's this law of cause and effect. And everybody in this room has heard this. There's this law of cause and effect. You can call it the law of attraction. You can call it the law of correspondence. It doesn't matter what you call it. There is this law, and it's the boomerang effect from your constant thought and feelings of this that you are having, that you are focusing on, that transfer into your belief system, that transfer into your manifestation system. And by the use of the R.A.S. Now, this might be something new for you. What's the R.A.S.? The R.A.S. is the reticular activating system. I didn't make this up. The R.A.S., the reticular activating system, is a complex bundle of nerves about 2 inches long and the width of a pencil that sits on our brainstem, right back here, and filters out. Its job is to filter out all the unnecessary information so only the important stuff gets through into the rest of your brain, into the rest of your concentration, the rest of your attention. The reticular activating system is responsible for our wakefulness, our ability to focus, our fight and flight response, and how we ultimately perceive the world. Because the R.A.S. is allowing only those ideas to come through, because that's what we focus on. And because we focus on only that, the R.A.S. brings only that information to the rest of your brain. At any one time, we're bombarded by a good 14 million bits of information. Any one time, any second in the day, there's 14 million things going on. Your memories, your past, what's going on outside, the light, the lack of light, the person talking with you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to control what you perceive in your consciousness, what you pay attention to. And the R.A.S. is essentially the brain's gatekeeper, the filtering system for the incoming information. Here's an example. Have you ever decided to buy a new car? I'm sure you have at one time or another. And maybe it's a certain color or a certain year. And then all of a sudden you're driving around and that car is everywhere. How did all these people all of a sudden get these cars? It's the R.A.S. The R.A.S. is focusing, you are focusing on bringing that car thing into your life. Maybe you've even looked at it and gone to the dealer and taken a test drive, and you're just waiting for all your ducks to line up, and all of a sudden you start seeing that car, even in that color, driving around all the time. Where'd that come up? That's your R.A.S. in action. Or how about you're at a restaurant with a significant other, whether it's romantic or a business thing, but that significant other, this is an important conversation. It's a noisy restaurant. If you're in Los Angeles or any of the major cities, you've probably been to one of these noisy restaurants, and all of a sudden you're so focused on him or her and that information you want to convey and that you want to hear that you don't hear the noise anymore. It's like the people who have hearing aids. A lot of times they have a button they can press that filters out background noise. The R.A.S. does that as well. That is the R.A.S. in action when you do that. Now, you remember the parable of the two wolves? Remember the parable of two wolves? A Cherokee elder is teaching his grandchildren about life, and he says there's a fight going on inside you. And it's a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. And one wolf represents fear and anger and envy and sorrow and regret and all this horrible stuff. And they're all lies, of course, but they're still there fighting for your attention. And the other wolf stands for joy and peace and love and sharing and serenity and kindness, et cetera, faith, truth. And the same fight is going on inside of each and every one of us. Every day, all day. And he says it's going on with you, grandchildren. And they're sitting there all wide-eyed, and they say to their grandfather, well, which wolf will win? The one I feed said the old Cherokee. The one I feed. You get what you focus on. You get the thoughts you feed into your consciousness, into your mind, into your heart, into the universe. You can train your R.A.S. by taking your conscious thoughts and marrying them with your subconscious thoughts and eventually your unconscious thoughts by intentional mental work, the intentional mental work we talk about every week. If you focus continuously on your goals, your R.A.S. will seek out and bring forth your attention to the information that validates that belief, that validates what you are focusing on. And then that belief becomes a part of you, which informs the universe, which then reveals the people, the information, the opportunities to help you take action to bring that which you are focusing on, that which you have decided to have into your life. Just like the car, just like the noise, it pushes away that which is in the way and brings forth to you that which you have decided to reveal in your life. The brain activity and the consciousness activity merge to influence the manifestation activity. Let me say that again. The brain activity, this is the R.A.S., this is the actual, something actually a part of your brain. And the consciousness activity, this is the more spiritual activity. This is the activity you do in your spiritual practice, whatever that may be, prayer, etc. They merge. Both actions merge and influence the manifestation, bringing forth into form into your life activity. I know manifesting seems so mystical to a lot of people and out of reach even sometimes. And well, it is mystical, I guess, but it's never out of reach. Never out of reach. And you can bet your life I have to remind myself of that too. It's not magic. It's not a secret. It's science. My friends, this is science. The R.A.S. is not some new thought or new age or woo-woo or any of those kind of ideas. The R.A.S. is science. The science of the biomechanics of the brain and the workings of the mind. The science of manifestation. Or the book that a lot of us in this philosophy like to read, it's The Science of Mind. The science of the mind, the science of the brain working together. It's like, here's a great activity. You see it as a movie in your head first. Add special effects, great starring cast, whatever, and a fabulous score if you need some music. And have that playing in not only your head, but in your whole body before it shows up and plays in front of you in your life. This morning, I'm talking about you not concentrating on what's not there. Does that make sense? Don't concentrate on what's not there. I don't have this. I wish, I hope, I want. The things you don't want to do. Why? Because your R.A.S. is going to listen to that, and it's going to focus on bringing forth into your life that which you don't want to see. But if you keep your attention on what's about to be there, what you want to bring into your life, what you are revealing and declaring to manifest, when you focus on that, the R.A.S. starts informing your brain, starts informing your perspective on life, and you'll start seeing all that stuff because the universe answers to that belief system. And the universe appreciates this constant attention because you bring a focus to its focus in bringing forth the how, whatever the how is to bring forth what it is you want. What it is you want to reveal, what it is you want to declare, what it is you are declaring. So keep your eyes on the prize and your reticular activating system and the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction, will bring it on home. All you got to do is just focus and hold on. Thank you so much. Namaste.